Marshal Mitch Landrieu.
Spectacular. The Mardi Gras Indians are such a very special and important part of New Orleans history and world culture. Each one of those costumes is constructed by the individual who's wearing them, bead by bead, bead by bead. And they pass that tradition down generation to generation by having young folks work with them in the community, and they make a new suit every year. The Mardi Gras Indians. Give them a round of applause. I'm so thrilled that all of you have honored us with your presence, and so good morning and welcome to the World Cultural Economic Forum for 2012. We have with us approximately 30 international delegations, and we have 22 to 25 mayors from across the United States of America, and we are joined by local cultural stakeholders for this incredible event. I specifically want to thank the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Tom Cochran, all the mayors that are with us today, and our president, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, who is the great mayor of Los Angeles. Antonio, thank you so much for being here. Scott, thank you for being here, and thank you for adopting this as part of the United States Conference of Mayors mission as we go forward. The audience that we have with us today represents stakeholders from across the globe. We have individuals, some of whom already have sister city relationships, some of which have what you will find to be common interest with your cities. And I think there is a great opportunity for all of you in this room. When we decided to develop the World Cultural Economic Forum in 2006 during my tenure as Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana, it was really just a dream. It was an idea that the city of New Orleans could become the hosting space for an international conversation about culture. Not just about culture, but culture and economics. And since then, the World Cultural Economic Forum has evolved into an event that has been attended by lieutenant governors, ambassadors, ministers from throughout the world. It has, in fact, become an ideal opportunity for us to come together and discuss ways, not only where we can find common ground that culture helps us bridge, but actually find ways to make culture work for all of us. So now, as mayor of the city of New Orleans, I am proud to reintroduce the World Cultural Economic Forum as an event hosted by the city of New Orleans with a new and strengthened focus on where most of the people in the world live, and that is in cities. Culture becomes national, it always becomes international, but it always starts on the street, and it always starts local. Cities and towns are the producers, are the incubators of our nation's cultures, placing then mayors and municipal governments in a strategic position in the value chain, very important word, in the value chain of the cultural economy and the workers who create it. I want this forum not only to be an opportunity to share New Orleans culture with you, but for you to share your culture with us. It was actually Senator Landrieu who said at the World Trade Center that when nations are negotiating with each other, some nations come to the table unequally when you're talking about just power. Some nations are bigger than others, some nations are stronger than others, some nations have more people. But when you're talking about culture, everybody comes to the table as equal partners. And that is a very, very powerful notion. Each of your cities is different, and although some people say, well, we're not New Orleans, that is true, but you have your own cultural identity, and you absolutely have your own cultural economies if you take the time to look at it and you take the time to see it. Your expertise and your experience is really valuable to me. Our city and all of us open up our doors to you and all of the ideas that we have. You can take them and use them as you wish. Recently, the world has seen dramatic changes, as all of us know, both politically, socially, and culturally. These changes have been fueled not only by political and economic factors, but also by social upheaval and cultural issues. New civil societies have formed in nations that were once lacking social networks, institutions, and civic participation. But creative workers that were once under heavy censorship now have more freedom to create cultural products that express multiple viewpoints. Natural disasters have changed not only the physical landscape of nations, but affected the cultural landscapes as well. All of these developments illustrate how culture is integral to to the success in our lives, our economies, and our government. During my time with the state, I realized that the first step to harnessing the power, and it is mighty, of cultural economy is in fact to recognize it, to define it, and to count it. Here in New Orleans, we define the cultural economy as the people, the enterprises that transform cultural skills, knowledge, and ideas into economically productive activities and goods. In other words, in simple political terms, culture means jobs. Cities around the world have begun to define their cultural economies and realize that creative workers and businesses are the engines for economic growth. They are adding to raw talent, to raw material, and to intellectual capital to grow this important and very underutilized and unappreciated sector of our economy. They're paying attention to what happens in the front of the house and the back of the house. In other words, the framer becomes as important as the painter, the carpenter as important as the architect, the electrician as important to the movie set, and the folks that work behind the scenes as important as the stars, because that's where the jobs are and that's where the money is. Culture and creativity are tools that cities should use to create a defined sense of place and an enhanced quality of life. The cultural economy is sustained by municipal planning that enhances already vibrant and creative neighborhoods and promotes place-based development. Hence, a number of our greatest architects in the city of New Orleans have joined us here, and we'll have Secretary Sean Donovan for the Department of Housing and Urban Development talk to us about that as well. When used to its fullest potential, culture becomes a priority alongside of, not subordinate to, transportation, housing, and infrastructure. Every elected official in this room, when they have been running, was asked, well, if you had to choose between police and fire and the art museum, which would you choose? And the answer should always be both, because they are integrated and they are integral and important to each other. In fact, studies have shown that cities who utilize culture in the broadest way benefit in other ways as well. They're healthier, they're safer, they are in fact smarter, they're more diverse, and they're more civically engaged, and most importantly, they're much more authentic. During this forum, we're going to explore how culture affects these larger issues of civic life. While there's much talk about the role of culture in urban planning, culture can enhance other government programs and policies as well. Here in New Orleans, we use knowledge of our cultural economy on multiple fronts to combat seemingly insurmountable problems. We collaborate with nonprofit organizations and, for example, the New Orleans Recreation Department to offer arts and cultural programming to youth that develop their talents and inspires them to use artistic self-expression as a vehicle for success. We work with healthcare providers to screen cultural workers such as musicians, culinary workers, and artists for chronic diseases so that these often uninsured members of our cultural workforce get the preventative care that they need. We partner with our job placement program that's called Job One in cultural organizations to provide training in the growing film and video industry here in this city. We're doing 9 major motion pictures as we speak. Crime, education, health, workforce development can be a city's most pressing issues, and they are all aided and influenced by our culture and our cultural workers. Culture is a force that moves us forward. It changes the game. The purpose of this forum is to explore the various ways that culture can contribute to solutions to multiple and very difficult problems. In the face of global economic crisis, devastating natural disasters, and political turmoil, harnessing culture as a policy tool is a very effective response. The places that culture builds, protects, and nurtures are those which can recover, preserve, and develop our own identities as cities. The intersection of creativity and commerce gives us what we call the cultural economy. In the state of Louisiana, it represents 144,000 jobs. It produces $12 billion of economic impact. It is 12% of our economy, which stands very equally to oil and gas, to biomedical research and development, to the port, any other sector. It is a very, very powerful tool. So I challenge all of you to use your time here to envision culture as the catalyst needed to achieve your goals. The World Cultural Economic Forum is yours. It is a platform to establish new partnerships, to create new opportunities, for you to envision new possibilities, jobs, better cities, and a brighter economic future. I am thrilled to have you all here. I am thrilled for you to be a part of it. I am thrilled for you to take ownership of it and to use it in a way that improves the lives of the citizens that have honored you with the ability to represent them. Thank you all very much. God bless you, and I appreciate your time.